On today's episode of Unwritten Rule, it's a little different. It's me, Kenny. I'm hosting just the intro part here. No Jack for this show. A little busy after homecoming. We didn't do a regular homecoming recap with me, just with the three of us kind of in motion, driving back from Columbia. So we're just going to clean things up with two notes on some commitments for the Tigers. A very busy week on that front with the Tigers getting active on the defensive line, getting DeMarcus Johnson, a JUCO product, and then flipping Micah Nickerson, who's a Rivals 300 edge rusher now, previously committed to Mississippi State. So we'll get into that. Some things to talk about in sports shorts with a fun little trivia on Mizzou homecoming. Then we got Tigers in the Wild and headlines as usual. Just a quick short show this week with Payton and I, and the Unwritten Rule presented by FanDuel starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, September 29th. Just a two-man show. We talked about it in the intro, just Payton and I. Three of us were in transit on Sunday and didn't get a chance to recap that game or really just give any thoughts about the homecoming game. But I guess we'll just start off with that, Payton. Just getting back to campus. I know it was your second time this season. I mean, what was it just about the homecoming atmosphere that you really liked this year? I know not a lot of people, including yourself and you, I don't think you should be, punished for this, but not everyone stuck around, and of course it wasn't really the most exciting game, even with the Missouri blowout victory. But I mean, what was it like being back on campus for you?
I actually did stick around for the whole game because I'm a sick individual that's not right in the brain. But no, that was probably the most boring game I've seen in quite some time, to be fair. So I don't blame anybody that left a bit early, especially because it was late. But no, I mean, it's homecoming at Mizzou. Despite some maybe saying it wasn't first, it's still obviously, I think, the most important, I can't imagine many schools have bigger homecoming weekends than Missouri does. It's taken pretty seriously there. Atmosphere is always good. It's always packed downtown. Nice to see a sellout crowd again. So overall, it was a pretty good atmosphere. I'll just give a look. It wasn't much of a game. Like I said, I think I said to the people I went with at the game, I was like, this is probably the second most boring game I've ever watched. The first being Mizzou Abilene Christian some years ago. That was also dreadful. I think Ahmad Hardy, obviously good. I thought the defensive line did what they needed, what they should have done in this type of game. Bo Perbula's scaring me a little bit. That's the third game in a row he's thrown a really dreadful interception. There's no other way to put it. I mean, that whether his elbow is tipped or not, I mean, Drinkwitz, I think, even said after the game, Bo was climbing the pocket a bit too much in this one. Didn't like what I saw out of Bo in this game. But again, he's a first-year starter. I'm not too worried. But he is going to have to, I think, play better with the rest of the schedule Missouri has. But other than that, there's not much you can take away from this game. It was cool to see a lot of the young guys. Of course, that's always fun. Good to see guys like Tommy Locke and Tavoris Jones. How about Tavoris Jones getting his moment to find the end zone? That was cool. But yeah, other than that, very boring game, which, I mean, I expected it. It is what it is. It was still, homecoming's always a good weekend.
No, Drinkwitz gave, props to the fans for sticking around and still selling out that game. Fifth straight home game. I mean, there was no buys in between there. There were no road contests. It's 5 straight weekends of football in Columbia, Missouri, excluding the opener being on a Thursday. But Payton, I mean, moving on to just what, happened before those games and right after it as well, is that Mizzou football got pretty active on the recruiting trail this weekend, still looking to fill out more spots in the class of 2026, adding 2 defensive linemen, both edge rushers, defensive ends, and DeMarcus Johnson, a JUCO product, and then Micah Nickerson, who flipped from Mississippi State. We can start with DeMarcus Johnson. I got to see him on the field pregame for this homecoming game. The 6'8", 280, I think it's 260 pounds. That might be an understatement. The guy is just massive, but he's not like a defensive tackle massive. He is just a big defensive lineman, and he could just be like, possibly like a Zion Young build. When you lose a guy like Zion Young, you have another guy coming in right behind him. That could be, a similar sizing, and you're looking for maybe the similar production off the edge. What do you like about DeMarcus Johnson from what you've seen and what you've read?
Well, I just in general with these 2 pickups, look, let's kind of face facts. If the season were to end right now, there is 0% chance Damon Wilson and Zion Young would be back next year. Zion Young, I believe you mentioned to me when we were at homecoming, he's out of eligibility anyways. But the edge room has been ridiculously good this year, especially those 2. So losing your top 2 guys, they got to load up on edge rushers. So DeMarcus Johnson, I think everybody was kind of taken by surprise because he visited in, what was it, June, Kenny? And we hadn't heard much since then.
Yeah, final official visit weekend in June, so the 20th to 22nd before the NCAA dead period. That was his only visit to Missouri. I think I was a little bit surprised when I saw him on the field pregame, but he sticks out. He looks the part already. Like physically, you just want to see that kind of translate to the SEC coming over from Hutchinson. And like we're going to say right now, he's not playing this season. He's going to redshirt the year, make sure he has 3 years of eligibility when he gets to Missouri. He was originally recruited by Brian Early at Houston, committed there, ended up taking the JUCO route instead. It was the same offseason that Brian Early left Houston for Missouri. So these guys have had a good bond for a long time. But DeMarcus said after the game to me that he's just excited. He loved the atmosphere. He loved what he said. You always kind of hear that just about, where Mizzou football is trending with these sellouts and this fan base being all bought in. And he's just excited to finally get to put on the pads and join that defensive front in January.
Yeah, and great weekend for Brian Early, as well, who's, again, it just kind of goes to Drinkwitz's staff building. I think it's truly his best attribute as a head coach. You lose Kevin Peoples, you lose DJ Smith, the linebackers coach, and you reload with Brian Early and oh my gosh, Derek Nickerson. I almost forgot his name. That would have been bad because we were talking about him earlier. And they've both been, excellent coaches from the second they stepped on campus. There's been recruiting wins. Both of the position groups have been awesome this year. Early in particular is looked like a recruiting ace. He got 2 commitments this weekend. We'll talk about it with Nickerson. Flipping him from Mississippi State. That's always something. No disrespect to Mississippi State, but when you're a team like Missouri, you have to, when you really are locked in a recruiting battle, you have to win against schools like Mississippi State, kind of in that same similar, maybe a tier below Missouri. You got to win recruiting battles there. So, and that's even not even counting the work they did in the portal, getting Javion Hilson last year. It's been very promising early tenure for Brian Early.
And I don't think we, say that he's done necessarily. Maybe he's done on the high school and JUCO front when he gets 2 guys, at this point in the recruiting cycle, signing days in early December. He's got 2 edge rushers already. They were kind of linked to Ronell Johnson, again, a Kansas City area kid who's a Rivals 300 edge rusher. They held him for an official visit. He's been on campus a handful of times. He's committed to Indiana. That's what, he made up his mind in the summer. Looked like they were still kind of doing something there. Don't necessarily know how much that will kind of build after there's already 2 edge rushers in the mix, and they had 2 edge rushers in the 2025 class. And I think a lot of it will probably be mirrored moving forward with how much this team cares about the transfer portal and retooling with experienced players. But I think that's maybe where they go next. And once they got 2 guys here, I feel like DeMarcus Johnson is very bought in. For a guy like Micah Nickerson, though, his recruitment's still building. He got an offer from Auburn a few hours after announcing his flipped commitment from Mississippi State to Missouri. It's been brought up a couple of times. He's not originally from Columbia. He lived there for a couple of years as an infant. The majority of his life, he lived in the Magnolia State in Mississippi, came back and lived with his dad freshman year of high school and went to Hickman in Columbia before going back. Very kind of interesting case of, its recruitment just really took off at the end. He was always this kind of freak natural athlete, kind of played in a small town and in small town football in Mississippi, and really didn't take off until now. But they really liked what they saw, and it only took him a week to really change his mind. But it looks like a good edge room kind of moving forward, for this class, with Micah being now the highest ranked recruit in the 2026 class for Missouri.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we really shouldn't. I mean, look, the summer high school recruiting class was very slow. I don't think it was what anyone hoped for. I think if you were to ask Drinkwitz and get him in a truthful moment, he probably said he expected a little more out of that summer class as well. But I should know better by now than to really kind of doubt that the staff's just going to put up a real clunker. I mean, they just, when it's seemingly at will, are able to kind of flip guys like this. I mean, Drink's favorite saying used to be flip miss in the recruiting realm. I still don't doubt that there's probably going to be less emphasis on high school than there has been in the past, maybe. But it's still so important. I still think you look at most powerhouses, like, yes, you need to hit on the portal like Mizzou has. I think the portal has been a real key to why Mizzou has turned into the program it's turned into, but you got to be able to reload and reinforce from the high school ranks. I still think that's vital, especially at marquee positions like this. I think in the trenches in particular, if you can get guys in your system and develop them up, I think that's going to be really a big deal for them.
Yeah, and it's something that's come up a couple of times. I wouldn't say, high school recruiting is dead, like you're saying, Payton. It's one of those things. I think Missouri is being a lot more selective in their process and their decision making. They've learned in the past about, not giving high schoolers too much money. They really saw that in the 2024 class, realizing that a lot of these guys are on one-year contracts at the end of the day with the NIL world and the transfer portal, and how easy it is to just find another home. Like they say, find another place. And not necessarily the grass is always greener for some of these guys, but sometimes it's a lot greener. I mean, the opportunity to them looks a lot better to go play somewhere else. So, I think Mizzou will try to go up to that 17 mark like they did last year. They've got some other guys. They're still trying to fill out some linebacker spots, some spots in the secondary, while still keeping tabs on some offensive linemen and wide receivers. But I think they feel like they're in a good spot, because at the end of the day, I mean, they're still keeping tabs with some of these guys. And if they don't get them now, heck, 2-3 years, maybe they're in the transfer portal and they circle back like they've done with guys in the past, i.e. Zion Young, who has ended up being a very good ad these past 2 years for Missouri. Payton, I mean, any other thoughts just on Mizzou recruiting from here? Is probably going to be, or not probably, there will be more official visitors moving forward in the 2026 class this fall.
No, I mean, I'd kind of just throw that over to you. Like, I mean, maybe what to expect next. Because, I mean, it kind of seems like they're going to be done at edge rusher now until maybe the portal. And I think that's pretty good when you can flip a 4-star like Nickerson. So,
yeah, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, David Blackwell, the defensive tackles coach, still trying to make up some ground on some guys they lost, with Al Davis leaving the program in May. They still have good relationships with Anthony Kennedy Jr. over the summer, and Danny Beal, who's at Oklahoma State, which is in kind of a limbo spot now with a bunch of guys leaving the Oklahoma State class, decommitting, with Mike Gundy no longer with the program. Sounds like Danny Beal's still kind of bought in right now. Things can change. They always do. But that's just where it kind of stands right now with him. And, looking at some other ones, they had Jalen Battle and for an official visit the weekend prior. He's a Baylor commit on the interior defensive line. They really like some of these guys in Oklahoma because they host another one in Taj Overton, who's an Oklahoma State commit, for a visit this past weekend as well in the 2026 class. So they're still looking for some interior defensive linemen. A linebacker front, Michigan State commit is going to be visiting in November. And you got DQ Forkpa, who is, looked like he was going to go to Florida. Michigan was also in the picture. Michigan's still in the picture, same with Florida State. He's got another official visit next month with Maryland. He really kept his options open after wanting to commit during the summer, after his first round of official visits. And something that really stood out to me is that Mizzou picked back up conversation with him in May by reoffering him with Derek Nickerson taking over as the linebackers coach. And then I saw him in late June. I saw DQ in late June, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't heard from Mizzou, like in a while." And so thought that door was closed. They reopened it this fall, and you don't know if you saw the video I posted on Twitter, Payton, but there's a lot of energy behind Nickerson, and DQ really liked that on his visit. So they're still looking at that linebacker spot in the secondary. They hosted Ahmad Billions and CJ Hester, who's a Florida commit for visits this past weekend. They're still trying to fill out some of those cornerback spots as well. And it's just kind of time will tell on who's really going to entertain that. I mean, who are they going to want to take, and they'll probably get things kind of tied up in these next couple of months. Well, that's going to do it just for a little bit of talk on recruiting, official visitors, and we'll throw it over to the other side with quick hits. All right, quick hits time. Before we get to the Ken Sports Show, I did want to mention, I did not mention his name when I said that Michigan State linebacker commit. Rivals 300 linebacker Braylon Hodge, officially visiting November 8th. So another one to look out for. Got some other visits in there as well with Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. Just the blue bloods, Payton, right?
Oh, yes.
What they say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my Ken Sports Short this week. It's a pretty quick one. You were in the other room when I was talking on the phone with our good friend Max Baker about this. But the first Missouri homecoming game, November 25th, 1911, against the Kansas Jayhawks. Can you give me the final score and the winner of that game?
3-3 tie. Is that it?
Yeah. Did you hear me say it?
No, I just knew.
Okay, you just knew it. Okay, yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's the answer. You got that one right.
I was asleep when you were talking to Max.
I know. I thought I could hear you in there, but entering that, or I guess exiting that game, it was a Chester Brewers team at the time, 2-4-1. The Missouri Tigers and the Kansas Jayhawks were 4-1. The attendance reported at around 10,000 plus for that game.
Wow. Not the first one, though. Very notable Twitter debate about
first
that.
Homecoming. Yeah. Okay. Get into the
I'm
quick
joking,
hits.
everyone. I think it is the first one. Nobody get mad at me. All right. Anyways, moving on.
We talked about football commits. My Tiger in the Wild goes to a softball commit, continuing to roll on the diamond with Larissa Anderson, Olivia Ricciardi. Is that Payton?
I would have just said Riccardi. But
Riccardi? I mean, there's an extra eye in there. Olivia committed to Missouri this past week. I actually put it on her profile as well that she did have a visit with the Tigers week 1. Yeah, right there, November 28th. Put that on there for her. She's also just another top recruit. She's in the top 150 for softball. We'll look at some of these commits. Oh, does it not have the list on there? I guess it doesn't. But yeah, it's just another one that we've kind of been talking about. Jack's kind of been taking the lead on some of those commits for Missouri softball, but Olivia joined the picture this past week. Pitcher from Tampa Catholic, Tampa, Florida.
Very nice. I didn't honestly know that Rivals had a softball thing, so that's actually pretty cool. But no, this is a big year coming up for Larissa. Obviously, I know she's a 2027 pitcher, but still, very big year. Got to kind of hope it goes well.
Yeah, the ones we've been talking about recently have been those junior recruits. I pulled it up. There's a Softball America or something. I think Softball America is affiliated with On3 and Rivals now. And so in that top 150, she's number 121, 42nd ranked pitcher, 10th ranked Florida recruit. Take that, I guess, Florida. I was looking at some of these other ones on here. Wish you could search by actual team, but it's a couple, Missouri Tigers in here we've talked about just so far in the 2027 class. I mean, Mizzou seems like they're rolling well right now. 97th nationally, Jenna Mannon from West Jefferson, Ohio. Kyra Dotz, another pitcher, 104th nationally. Adele Metz, who we talked about on the most recent show, from Francis Howell in St. Charles. She's number 118. She's a catcher. And then Emily Souders, who we talked about on a previous episode, Flower Mound, Texas. She's number 44th nationally. And they got another 3-star, Zana Gaither, who's a 3-star from Wisconsin. So
very nice.
Softball's rolling.
Yeah. That's helpful to have that kind of list.
Yeah, I think it's cool. They don't have it for baseball, but I think it's neat that that's there for softball. There's a good following for softball at the college level. Payton, your Tiger in the Wild.
My Tiger in the Wild I'm very excited about this one. It's going to be the Missouri Tigers basketball team themselves, because our prayers have finally been answered. In 2026, Missouri men's basketball will be in a cool little mid-season tournament. This comes from Matt Norlander over at CBS. He's tweeted or posted on X, the Everything app. It all happens on X on September 29th. News: college basketball's Players Era Festival has agreed to contracts with Louisville, Miami, Missouri, Ohio State, and Virginia. Florida also recently joined, which means the Vegas-based NIL event now has 24 of its targeted 32 schools for a mega event in November of 2026. So there you go. Missouri is finally going to be in one of these cool tournaments under Dennis Gates. It's not this year. Again, just adding more into the fact that I feel like this is just a bridge year. I think this is so awesome, especially being in one of these in one of these NIL events. I mean, it made kind of head waves. Last year, I believe, was the first year it happened. I could be wrong on that. It's very new, and so it's cool to see Missouri kind of get into that one. I think it says a lot about the confidence they have in that 2026 team as well, that they're really kind of loading up the non-con for it.
Yeah, that's a good take on that too, Payton. We talked about the 3 commits already. Jason Crow Jr., of course, headlining that, a guy you probably are expecting to be an impact player, right off the bat. Tony Bryant, another guy that could probably play right away. But Aiden Cronister might be one that, takes a little bit of time to develop at the college level, maybe not in that starting 5 impact right away. But, I mean, that's an exciting, group, because then you add in the border war, you add in bragging rights, the SEC, ACC challenge. There's a lot of, good matchups for Missouri basketball. And I think, they might go a little bit lighter on the non-con after that, just so they don't really have to, load up on that schedule and put themselves in a pickle when it comes, to wins and losses by the time of the tournament after SEC play. But I think you like about what the image of Missouri basketball is kind of moving forward. The Mizzou athletics in general has kind of been nitpicked before, basketball especially, and especially football non-conference schedule, that there just haven't been many good matchups. This is good for a resume, and I think that's going to be a good thing that's noted once the tournament comes in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, look at the teams that are in this tweet with Missouri. There's Louisville, who, yes, has been down for the past little half decade. I think this is the one is this next year as well? Wow, so you got Tennessee, Rutgers, who has been a huge NIL team. They've been getting huge recruits under Pickiel. They got Baylor, who just won a national title. Creighton's always good. Kansas, Notre Dame is a big name. I mean, Shrewsbury has high hopes there. St. John's. It's Rick Pitino. Iowa State has been incredible. Houston was just in the national title. Syracuse is Syracuse. Oregon, Auburn. These are huge names that Missouri is now in a field with. And then there's UNLV, who, if it were the 90s, that would be a huge deal.
And Maryland's on an upswing right now with the coaching changes. I know you like the staff up there with the Turpins.
I don't. Why would
Turpins.
You say that?
I know you don't. But yeah, it's. I think it's good. I think it's going to be a good thing for Dennis Gates. They're changing the face of Missouri basketball, which is pretty incredible to say after having an 0-19, 0-18 SEC season, if you include that game in the SEC tournament as well. So this is a good step forward for the Missouri Tigers on the basketball court coming in 2026. Jack's Tiger in the Wild. We were driving to homecoming when this broke, and we were driving through his hometown of Warrenton High School. This is Carter Martin, who announced his verbal commitment.
The town name, Warrenton High School.
Oh, it's Warrenton. We were driving through Warrenton. He goes to Warrenton High School.
Everybody type in the comments, Payton owns Kenny, hashtag Payton owned Kenny.
Carter Martin announced his verbal commitment to Missouri baseball on Friday. I guess we weren't actually driving through. He announced at 8:05, so he announced it the night before, but we didn't see it until Friday. So Thursday commitment, Mizzou softball, Mizzou baseball getting busy with some players in the class of 2027. Pulled up the class so far from Perfect Game. A couple of guys, nearby. Cole Ruggieri from Naperville, Jace Wilkinson from South Greenfield, Missouri. Carter Martin, of course, from Warrenton. Chase Steiferman, who's from Jefferson City. And then the one Florida commit, catcher Seamus Moylan. So that's kind of what the class looks like right now for 2027 in baseball.
Very nice. I mean, we mentioned it last time we talked about the recruiting class for baseball. I think, honestly, Missouri's best chance at becoming a really even just okay enough program to not be like embarrassed on the field every night. Is just they have to become a very good developmental program and find diamonds in the rough, because they just kind of don't have another option. I don't think they have the NIL that's even close to any other SEC baseball program, and I don't think that there's any other path for them.
And unlike football, I think this is one of those sports where you don't want the best players leaving your state either. We don't really have the most ideal like baseball rankings to show you guys. But when you can get a guy that's SEC caliber in your home state, you keep him there. I think that's one of the biggest things. You don't want someone from Battle going to Tennessee or someone in Jefferson City going to, Vanderbilt. You want to keep these guys home and prove why they should play baseball at the University of Missouri, which has been kind of tough just with the way this program has kind of trended in recent years. Headlines. Just a quick one from me. SEC announces football TV schedule for October 4th, October 11th. Of course, Missouri Tigers are on a bye week this week for football. We already knew the game time for Alabama and Missouri in week 6, October 11th. But we got the station, Payton. So 11 a.m. kick on ABC. That's a pretty exciting one, I think, for the Missouri fans.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get way more into the matchup like next week. It is one of the more, I think, anticipated home games Mizzou has had since entering the conference. I'll be honest, I don't have a great feeling on this game. I don't think Missouri, as is a great matchup, but I mean, there's way crazier things have happened. No doubt about it. I'm not going to discount Missouri at all. I do think there's obviously a world that exists where they win. And if you win that game, gonna be some real crazy conversations and hype after that one. But for now, we just know that it's gonna be on national TV in front of everybody. So that's scary, but that's kind of a good thing.
Will your feelings change once Vanderbilt beats Alabama this weekend?
I would feel worse, because then I think you're gonna get an absolute wounded animal fighting for its entire season in Alabama. I'd rather Alabama feel a little like they have a cushion still.
Yeah, this is an Alabama team that's trending positively, playing a lot better under Ty Simpson at quarterback. Losing that game to Florida State in week 1 kind of put them in a tough spot moving forward. Just not as much wiggle room for error. Payton, your headline.
My headline is going to be AP Top 25 College Football Poll. That's right. It's AP poll time, everyone. Missouri moved up 1 spot to number 19. They leapfrogged Michigan. The win over UMass was just that good, clearly. Other notable things I saw, I thought it was interesting Florida State fell 10 whole spots, kind of like they were indicating like Virginia's a terrible loss, but also ranking Virginia at 24 kind of shocked me a little. I thought I don't know that I would have unranked Mississippi State. They took a good team, not a team that a team that I think is a little overrated in Tennessee, but still a good team. Took them to overtime and just didn't come away with it. I think I would have kept Mississippi State still in there. I don't really have any other hard takes on this. I do think Ole Miss going all the way up to 4 is awesome. I think they just straight flip-flopped with LSU, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, nothing really major for me. I think a lot of people think you got to push Oklahoma up a little bit, but without Mateer at quarterback, I think some people might point out that a team like Texas A&M would probably beat that Oklahoma team right now. You got some teams behind them with some losses, of course, with Texas, Alabama, Penn State dropping 4 to that loss to Oregon. And what a game that was too. Kind of crappy, I think, for some people that it overlapped with the Missouri game. But nonetheless, was a good contest. Jack's headline comes from On 3 Heisman Trophy poll, top 10 player rankings after week 5. And finally, Payton, I mean, do you want to say it? I liked what you tweeted about it, but Ahmad Hardy cracks the list at number 6 with 25 votes.
Yeah, Ahmad Hardy, I guess the 3 touchdowns against UMass did it, or maybe it was just the fact that people complained about it enough. I totally kid. I totally get that these rankings aren't hard and fast at all. They're totally just opinionated, and that's fine. I do think Ahmad Hardy would have to be on the list right now, though, especially because Missouri's been a great team, and he has been the engine and almost certainly the MVP behind the season Missouri has had so far.
Plus 3,000 odds on FanDuel. Jack wanted me to throw that out there as well to win the Heisman Trophy right now. But I think the recognition is good. Got brought up, of course, in the press conference after week 4. Yeah, and Drink was talked about how a lot of the conversations about quarterbacks and not really watching everyone in college football right now. But Payton, before we get out of here, you have a joke for us.
I sure do, Kenny. This is an easy one. This comes from our favorite TV show, The Today Show. Our favorite TV series, The Today Show. I messed up my own line. Kenny, what do you call cheese that isn't yours?
Nacho cheese.
Yeah,
thank you for joining this week, Payton.
Yeah, there you go. What?
I said thank you for joining this week, Payton. Got you kicked off for there.
No problem.
That was a tough one. I will say that I thought you were gonna. Man, it feels like you lost your touch a little bit. I will say that. Well, thank you for tuning in for the Unwritten Rule this week.
Sometimes you have to have easy ones, Kenny.
Speaking from the void. Thank you for tuning in this week, watching with us on the YouTube. We will catch you guys on Friday. We'll think about something to talk about for the bye week. We will see you guys then.